my friend. Welcome back to My Artist Friend, the podcast where you meet the artist behind the art. My name is Becky Helms, and a happy New Year's Eve. Today is just going to be you and me. We're just going to be having a little artist chat because I needed to take some time for myself, and that included not editing hour-long interviews because it was way more work than I expected. So it's just going to be a little chat between us. Imagine we are at brunch right after a craft show, or you're out to lunch with your friend who owns a shop and just needs to chat, or maybe it's the weekend and you and your friend are just a couple of crafty people and you want to talk about goals for next year, because that's what this episode is all about. I am going to be talking about planning your year creatively. Is that a thing? Is that a thing we can do? I don't know. First, I'm going to talk about how I used to plan my year as a shop owner, because I did have a system. I teach the system in my course and it goes more in depth, but I'm going to tell you most of it here anyway. And then I'm going to see if I can make a personal calendar to create a more fulfilling creative life for myself, just as a human being and not as a shop owner. So we'll work it out together. We'll see if I can make it happen. I have a brief plan written down here, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, quick reminder, I am on Substack. If you would like to support the podcast, especially going into next year, I would really appreciate it. None of the podcast, Instagram, blogish related content is ever going to be hidden behind a paywall. I am not going to write anything new behind a paywall. The only thing that is behind a paywall is my course, my Enamel Pins 101 course and power prompts. I put those for founding members. If you are an alumni or current student in my course, you don't have to pay for it. Like I said, you pay for it once and then you have access to the content forever. That's why I moved it over to Substack. So those folks are just in. They're in. But if you want to have access to that content, that is for founding members only. But everything else is basically just, tip jar donation based. You just want to support the podcast and in turn support other artists, which is pretty great because the more I can do with the podcast, the more I can help other artists in our community, which is fantastic. So all that's out of the way. Let's plan 2025. Okay, so when I would plan my year as a shop, what I did was I would take monthly calendars, print them out on one sheet of paper. I have some that I made for my course, and I would put them all out. Each month gets a page. I would put them all out on the floor, and I would map out my seasonal releases first. So spring, summer, fall, winter. Winter was usually in like February-ish. Spring was in April. Summer would usually be like July or August. And then the fall release would be in September, because that was like my holiday kind of stuff. And then I would usually have like a smaller, holiday, like Christmassy release in early November, end of October. But the main stuff, those are like the three main. I would do one release per season, basically per quarter. So I put that down. I'd say, I want to release this on Friday in this month. Here's the date. And mark that out. And then that was for my main collection. So anything having to do with my brand, specifically the cats, the cute stuff, all of that. Now, I also had kind of a separate brand within my business that was gnomes. So my husband would design enamel pins that were gnomes and kind of D&D fantasy-based characters, and I would do the color for them. And so those were a little bit different from my normal cute cat pins, hair clips, stationery, stuff like that. So I would have separate releases for them. So I would kind of alternate the releases. So I wouldn't have them bunched up all in one month. If I did a release in February for the cats and the cute stuff, then maybe March would be for the gnomes. So I would put those, and those were usually a little bit smaller. I didn't do a ton of stationery or any extra accessories, anything like that with the gnomes. They were just the pins. So it would be a smaller pin release. Though I did do a pin release once with just the gnomes that did better than like all of my, it was like the middle of the year and it did better than all of my holiday stuff put together. I was like, dang. That was exciting. You never know when that'll happen. But so I alternate those. So I would have kind of big release, then mini release. And then within that, so you've got those written down. I liked to release on Fridays. I like to have a couple of weeks running up to it to kind of talk about it. I have some YouTube videos about different types of launches that you can do, but that's just kind of what I did. I like doing it on a Friday. People get paid on Friday, so, it just felt like a good day for me. You do what works for you and your folks. So I had those releases down, right? And then I would map out my sales. So if you're doing big releases, you have a lot of product, you probably have a lot of seconds. So I would then scoot my second sales into my calendar there. So generally, when you're going through a lot of product, you're going to get stuff that's B grade, stuff that's not quite good enough to sell at full price. So I always set those aside and just do second sales. So in between those releases, you have, March is the big main brand release. April, then we've got our gnome smaller release. And then maybe May, we have a big second sale. And then June, we go big release, and so on and so forth. So you have kind of these larger cash injections that you're looking at, and they are a little bit more consistent. And then from there, you can add in any extra sales that you want to have. If you do a birthday or anniversary sale, if you do a Black Friday something, if you have specific holidays throughout the year that you really love releasing for, then, if you want to have a big Valentine's Day thing, you put that in. And then you just kind of fill out your calendar with the rest of that stuff. Now that stuff's in. Then I would work backwards and add, like in a different color or whatever. When do I need to order product for that? When is that product probably going to get here? And when do I need to photograph it, edit those photos, write my listings? When do I need to make my content for marketing? My reels, my carousel photos, a lot of the stuff you can reuse. So if you are taking videos of your product, put that in your product listing. You know what I mean? Like videos are amazing for conversion because people can see it. I prefer, like, if there's a video of a product that I'm going to buy, heck yeah, that's going to help me make a decision. You know what I mean? So a lot of that content you can reuse, but put that on the calendar too. So when it's coming up, oh, okay, I need to order product next week. So I should probably design it today. So you can also put your design process on your calendar as well. So I like to get all of those dates, all of that stuff, because I'm the kind of person, if I don't have a structure, Lord knows what's going to happen during my day. Like I can't stay on track to save my life. So I like to be able to look at my calendar, whether you stick it in Notion or Asana, if you have a bullet journal, if you just have Post-it note lists, if you just put that calendar up on your wall so you can see it, that way, like I can stay on track and know, okay, today is a design day and I really need to work on that. Or I am not feeling it. I have zero motivation to design anything today. I'm going to move that over here and go on. So I like having the framework throughout the year, especially for people that have to order product because you do have to order it so early. And if you're working with wholesale, that stuff needs to be done a little bit early so you can put that on your calendar as well. Like if you have holiday stuff, you need to be reaching out to your wholesale clients a lot earlier in the year. So you can stick that on your calendar, know what you have to do for the day, but also know that life happens and you might change your mind. You might not have time to do everything you want to do. You might have a big life event that prevents you from doing something. You might want to stop selling a certain type of thing that's just not working for your audience, or you might want to test something new. Maybe, 6 months down the line, maybe there's a new product that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to make this. Or you get a new piece of equipment and you're like, I really want to change my mind. I really want to do something else. You can do that. Know that flexibility is built into this. This is not set in stone, but it's there as a framework for if you are feeling scatterbrained and don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I always hold space for holding space for change in life, because your January self and your December self are probably going to be very different. It's just how it is every year. So get your stuff on the calendar, business owners, and know that you can move things around if you need to. Okay, now I am going to attempt to use the same kind of logic on a personal calendar. I haven't done that. When we moved, I held everything very loosely and we were just getting settled. We were just kind of getting to know the area, getting to meet some people, getting settled in school. And now I feel like we're pretty settled here. And I want to kind of make a more concerted effort to plan out the year and not be quite so loosey-goosey, because I feel like this year, 2024 was very loosey-goosey for me. And I ended up spending a lot of time on my phone. And I'm not proud of it. So for a personal calendar, tell me what you think of this too. Because, I might be crazy. This might not work. I don't know. But first things first, I'm putting birthdays. I'm putting holidays, the days that my husband has off of work, his holidays. And then I have the school calendar like through the end of the year, like through June. And then I'm going to have to, add things on after the summer when I get the other school calendar. But so adding holidays for my kid and my husband, so we can kind of consolidate, and then adding any trips that we want to take. Whether or not we take them is different because airfare is expensive, hotels are expensive, everything's expensive. But, I'm working off of in a perfect world, when am I going to Texas next year? Not in August like I did last year. It was an amazing trip because I got to see my cousin who I hadn't seen in a couple of years, and it was very good for my soul, but it was very hot. So maybe springtime, maybe a little April and May, maybe a little bluebonnets instead of searing heat. So I've got birthdays, holidays, and then trips, because I want to try and maximize the trip. If my kid and my husband are off on the same days, then we can kind of work around that, make the most of that time. So that's on the calendar. That's going to be the plan. Now, this is also a perfect world because I did not sign up for any of these this year, but I would love to maybe next year put some creative retreats on my list. I would love to go to Craftcation again. I talked about that with Stacy in episode 4. And I would love to go to QuiltCon sometime. Oh my gosh. I think that would be so fun to go to QuiltCon since I'm so into that world right now. I think it'll blow my mind. But those are also, they're larger conventions. They are more expensive. They're amazing for what they are. They're completely worth it. But it's just making sure you have the funds to go and spend that time. So if you have any creative retreats, a lot of people will have like reading retreats now, writing retreats, or maybe you're just meeting up with some friends and you're going to have a crafty long weekend together, something like that. So getting that on the calendar and being intentional with those kinds of activities, I think would be really good for me personally. Because that's putting my creativity, it's making it a priority. And I think that's really important for me right now. So get that stuff on the calendar. And if you know of any other like creative retreats or conventions or stuff, can you let me know? Because I would love to go to more of them. I think it would be so flipping fun. And especially if I could like do I don't know, like a mobile podcast from one of these places, like that would be really cool to talk to the, attendees and the artists and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be cool. Okay, I just got that idea. Now I'm into it. Okay. Who do I need to call about this? Anyway, okay. Next up, I want to put craft shows on my calendar. I want to make sure I know when the craft shows are happening. I know a lot of places aren't scheduling, you don't know yet. I'm a little ahead of the game, which is good for me. It's better than being late. But the Ann Arbor Art Fair is incredible. It's humongous, and I want to put it on my calendar so I can be sure to go and have enough time to see absolutely everything, because we did not see everything the last time. And there is no like, I'm going to take a turn around the show, and come back to this place. It's humongous. So I've got to be ready. I've got to be ready with my wallet. I've got to be ready with my plan. I want to have like a whole day to just wander around the Ann Arbor Art Fair because it is so cool. Like, I cannot express to you how much I love it. And then you've also got like your Renegade craft fairs that pop up. Blue Genie towards the end of the year. You want to make sure you get to that. If you're in Austin or anywhere in Texas, it is worth the drive. It's incredible. Get all of your gifts, buy things for yourselves. Blue Genie's amazing. And there's like the Detroit Urban Craft Fair, which I loved and will absolutely be going again. So I have to make sure if I don't know, if the dates aren't out there yet, I need to keep my eyes out. I want to have a little list. Who am I going to go see? Where can I see it? And then I can also do some more research on shows that happen throughout the year as well. So I can make a point to patronize them because I want to buy handmade stuff. I want to buy from indie designers. I love it. I love it. And being intentional with that is very important to me this year. So there's also like the Ann Arbor Pottery Guild, which I didn't get a chance to go to their show this winter. It was at the same time as the Detroit Urban Craft Fair. And that weekend was just so stacked. There's so many shows that weekend. And I had to make some very tough decisions. But I did go, I saw their booth in the Ann Arbor Art Fair. So anytime they're doing something, if there are any kind of like ceramic guilds, anyone around your area that's doing cool stuff like that, I think it's good to put it on the calendar, mark it so you know when it's coming up. So we can be intentional about putting dollars into our communities. Next on the list is house projects. So again, I was loosey-goosey this year. I did the doors. We finished our floating shelves, our track shelving, which I love. We finished our library downstairs, which I need to make some videos about because I love it so much. It took a long time. So now that I have a better idea of the kind of equipment that you need and the actual time it takes to deal with the home projects, I want to put a few things on the list to do. Mainly, I think my biggest goal is this office because it's not nearly pink enough. I still have a lot of stuff from my office, like all the cute stuff, all the decorations, all of my shelves, my cutie shelves I used to have. It's all still in boxes, like in the garage and in the basement. And I want to look at that stuff. I want to see it every day. I want to be in this pink magical cocoon that's also a little bit more soundproofed, a little bit better for podcasting because I want to do more of that. So there will probably be some more felt tiles in my future, hopefully. Those things are fantastic. But yeah, house projects on the list. Probably this office in the winter, spring. I mean, it's inside, so I can do it when it's cold outside. That's really not that big of a deal. But we do have some outside stuff we want to do. Our landscaping is a mess, and I don't want to be that neighbor. I want to put a garden in the back, so that's going to be a big springtime situation, doing some more planting, things like that. That also is a big learning curve. So we'll see. We'll see what I can do. I planted some zinnias, some cosmos, little wildflowers last year, and they brought me so much joy. So we'll see. So yeah, house projects are next. And I think that is kind of the big stuff. That's my priority. Like, I will get more granular because, as I talked about in the last episode, in my kind of creative retrospective, if you haven't listened to that, I talk about things that worked for me creatively this year, things that needed a little more work, and things that I want to do next year. So I will probably be putting some creative stuff on the calendar just to be like, maybe you should start your quilt about this time because you know it's going to take you forever to finish. But I also don't want to schedule too much creativity aside from, I do want to put artist dates back on the list and be more intentional with that too. That's another thing from the Artist Way. She says to like take an hour once a week just to kind of step out of your comfort zone and go do something for yourself that's artistic in a different way, which I would like to do. But I generally end up thrifting instead. I go with the intention of like, oh, I'm going to make a project out of it. I can draw the things that I don't thrift, or I can find little design elements that I like, and I just end up spending money. But I find cute stuff. That's all that matters, right? But generally, I think my creativity, minus my SNART, my snack and art sort of curriculum, I do want to get that on the calendar for sure. Oh my gosh, it's snowing so much outside. It's so magical here, you guys. Oh, anyway, if you listen to my last episode, I talk about SNART, and that's snack and art that I do with my son after school. And that does need to be on the calendar as I kind of figure out how I want to move forward and kind of improve that a little bit. So that will go on the calendar. But other than that, I think a lot of the other making and crafting and drawing needs to be a little bit looser. You know, I can schedule these events, these things to go to, these places to kind of get me out of my comfort zone, but also things that are creatively recharging, like that stuff. I definitely want to make sure is on the calendar so I don't just kind of push it off to the side, because I will get bogged down in the day-to-day of life, because that's what it's like being a human. The day-to-day can really take over and you can push the creativity aside, and I don't want that for you or for me. I want us to all be practicing a little bit more creativity in our life. And if you think, oh, I'm not really creative, I can't draw, hush up. I want to hear it. Everyone is creative. Everyone can read. You could write something down. You could write a poem. You could scribble. There are so many different ways to be creative, so many things to make. And I don't want you to feel like, oh, I can't draw. Oh, I don't do, ceramics. I'm not an artist. Like, hush up. Everyone's an artist. I don't want to hear it. So yeah, have I rambled so much? What am I talking about now? Anyway, yes. So on my personal calendar, I am putting birthdays, holidays, making the most of trips and days off. Okay. I'm putting creative retreats on the calendar. I haven't signed up for any this time, but that is something I want to do in the future, and be intentional about. I also want to hook up with some friends and do like a creative time away. Find a cool Airbnb, stay there, either read, make stuff, do whatever. I think that'll be really fun. I would love to do that at least once a year. And then I've got whatever craft shows are on the calendar. I'm keeping my eyes out. I'm getting those on. So I am intentional with going to those, with putting money into my community and buying cool stuff for me and other people. And then I'm going to get my house projects. I'm going to do my interior design stuff. That's going to go on the calendar. And then everything else is going to be where the energy takes me. I used to work with Sarah Murphy. I'll put a link down for her too. And she said, I talked about how I could be real spacey once. And like, who knows what's going to happen if I don't have my plan? And she goes, I just follow the energy. She helped me with a lot of my shipping, a lot of my like docs and customer service and things like that. She was such a instrumental part of my business. And I miss her sorely, but I just love the idea of following the energy. So we are going to allow ourselves time on our personal calendar to follow the energy. And that is the kind of energy that I'm taking into 2025. I hope this wasn't too rambly. If you made it this far, thank you. You are a rock star. I appreciate you listening to my rambling this much. Come say hey to me on Instagram. Let me know kind of what your plans are creatively next year. Are you going to any retreats? Do you know of any? Are there any big craft shows around you that you think other people should know about and put on their calendars? Let me know. I want to know what you want to do with your year. I'm holding it pretty loosely again, but I do want to take some time and be intentional with my creativity in 2025. So let's help each other out. And yeah, I hope you have a fantastic new year. And I'll see you in 2025.